Hey there everyone, Hitesh here and welcome to another video where we are going to add some more value to your product. Whether you are working on it as a backend engineer, as a front-end engineer or as an organization, in today's video you will get 7 points about how you can stop your server before they crash, or even if they crash, how you can step by step go through with all the things. What are the preparation you need to do in advance? Because once your server crash, if you haven't prepared in advance, it is not going to work for you. And especially things are, if they are in production and people are paying for them, it doesn't really look good. So these 7 points will be enough to make sure that you are prepared to handle such kind of situation. Now, in case you are not aware of it, we recently saw such big downtime. Just yesterday, Twitter was down for a really long time. And even towards late night, the mobile application was totally down. What was happening behind the scene? And apart from this, just a few days ago, NeonDB, a database service which uses Postgres, was also down. And they also tweeted that, yes, we actually kind of messed up and all of these things. And just before that, Vercel was also down. Their build pipeline so that we can build the application and serve that, they were also down. So we saw the downtime in the front-end kind of application which we serve, like Vercel. We saw that in the database segment, and we also saw that in the Twitter. So how these companies do things behind the scene and how you can also monitor these applications absolutely for free. Yes, companies actually do want you to use these kinds of products, so you at least get some idea how things are handled in the production. But sadly, only a handful of people actually talk about it, and I'm one of them. I would love to walk you through the details of how it's being done. So I have prepared 7 pointers for you. So yes, we will be walking through with the notes and everything. And you might be wondering, hey Tesh, why the 7 notes? Why not more of the notes like that? I only came up with the 7. 5 was looking too less, and I had 2 more pointers to talk about, but couldn't reach to the 10. So I thought 7 is good enough. So what we're going to do is I will step by step walk you through. We'll give you the detailed demo examples also, that how this is being done. And for that, yes, our inspiration for making this video are Twitter, NeonDB, and Vercel. All of them crashed within a week. Yeah, that was pretty interesting. Now, what I want you to use before you worry about the pricing and all of them, it is absolutely free. So one of the product which I absolutely love about such monitoring is ManageEngine 24x7, which is a product by Zoho. A lot of people think that I have to pay to use it, but that's not the case. You haven't looked into the pricing plan much closely. The moment you see up here, it's all in one, these pricing, monitoring and all of that. But if you go a little bit down here, what you're going to see is they actually offer a free forever plan which can monitor up to 5 resources. So what should be those 5 prioritized resources so that you can monitor any of your favorite project that you are doing, or maybe open source project, whatever you're doing, and you can receive instant downtime emails and how to configure all of them. I will walk you through the details inside of it. So now that you know about how these things are done, I will come back and walk you through, and this video will give you enough of knowledge and like tons of knowledge about doing a lot of things. First of all, the most important part that you should know about is telemetry. What is telemetry? Now, telemetry is a term which is coined by the space organization. So organizations like NASA, they actually monitor a lot of close by, nearby planets, and they monitor what's happening in those planets, like how the weather is behaving, how the sandstorms are coming, and how the gravity is behaving, and all these details. Collecting that information from a remote planet gave this term, or the organization coined this term as a telemetry. Now, the same exact telemetry, or also known as open telemetry, is coined by the software engineers as well. Sometimes we want to monitor the resources which are out there. So for example, this is your server which is monitoring the resources. So I'll just turn this into white. That is better. So this is your server which is collecting all the logs, and these are your small machines which are running. Some are running databases maybe. So maybe this is running front end. This one is running probably a backend, and this one is your database, and all of these machines are running nice and easy. But this is the server, or this is the place where you're actually collecting all of your logs. So this could be a separate machine, or this should be always a separate machine so that you get some of the information. So this is exactly what we're doing. We are actually connected to these machines so that these machines actually send us all the logs and what's happening into these machines. So exactly just like the planets, we are collecting some of the information, and the whole process of this collecting the information is known as telemetry. And why I'm discussing about this? Because you will see this word quite a lot that, hey, telemetry is this, telemetry is this. So a lot of time beginners especially get confused. What is this telemetry? What we are talking all about? That is why I always starts with this kind of information with explaining what is telemetry. So now that you understand that telemetry is nothing, it's just the process of collecting information from the remote resources. It could be remote, it could be the same resource, but it's just a collecting of information. And you know that now, though, you now know the origin of how it actually came up. Okay, first of all, let's address the part that the high cost of the downtime. A lot of people think that the cost of the downtime is just the money. For example, usually the example that comes up in the mind is Amazon is running a big sale, and during that big sale, if the downtime is happening, we won't be able to purchase the good, which is a monetary loss for the Amazon. But that is not the true part of it. A lot of applications or even organizations worry about the downtime because it also costs them their reputation. Database services are known for their uptime. If the database is not up, then obviously it's going to be a bad looking situation. So it's not just about monetary cost, it also is about a lot of online reputation or a lot of reliability. Google made the reliability just by saying, hey, if you check your internet, if it is working or not, people open up Google. And that's kind of a reliability you want to have in your application. No matter what happens, at least some part of the application is already up and running. So it's not the cost of just the money, it's the cost of the reputation, reliability, and all of that. And what are the causes of these downtime? Now, you can only guess without having a proper monitoration, proper log collection, and proper setup of the tools like 24/7. You will always see that we are just guessing. It could be CPU case, it could be the memory might have been full, or maybe database is having a bottleneck, or might be your application code is crashing, but you don't know the exact reason and which specific trigger or which specific user action has actually made the application crash. See, if you cannot measure, you cannot enhance it or maybe downgrade it. But again, you need to measure this. So the most important part is you will have the downtime. There is no exception for it, but it actually costs us a lot. So make sure you are looking for root cause of the application. That's why you hear the term whenever there's an incident by Google or Microsoft or whatever, they are looking for the root cause analysis. The root cause analysis is simply because they have placed tools like this ManageEngine 24/7 in place already. So they are collecting each and every data, and now they are going and digging into the data. How they dig it, that's exactly what we are going to see in this video. So first of all, always make sure you are proactive monitoring, the why before how. This is the ultimate mantra of protecting your application. Make sure you are not worried about your application crashing after the crash has happened. You always worry about it from the day one or the day zero in itself. Before the application sees the daylight of the wild internet, we first of all go ahead and make sure all our precautions and measures are already in place. For this, you're going to see this is kind of a dashboard that I have already. So I'll just go and show you here. The way how we actually simply do that is simply go ahead and click on add monitor. And then once you click on the monitor, you can actually track your website. Whatever you want to have, you can have all the monitoration being placed, that I want to keep a check on this web page. I want to keep a check on this application and all these things. So if I go ahead and take you back onto the home, and let's just say I take you on, you can actually monitor all of this. So I'm not worried on that part. Let me take you onto the web part. Let's just say I'm monitoring my simple web pages. These are web pages, the websites. So I can see I have a servicepack.html. I do have these websites like tests and examples and travel website. You can always go ahead and see how this is all behaving. What is the DNS time? What is the first handshake time? Are there any images which are too heavy to load, which is bothering some of the users? Can we scale down this images into WebP or SVG? How you're going to make sure? Are you just loading on your web page? Because your machine might be super fast. You might be having good internet, but maybe people from certain region might not be able to feel that. This is all being done through the monitoration itself. So for example, if I just open up this website, which is JS Deliver, or maybe any website, probably will just open this up. So you will notice all the details inside, and majority of the task once you have built the application is just this. You monitor this, that what is the response time in Chennai? What is the response time in London? You can see the response time in London is actually little higher than this. So you can take a decision, informed decision that, hey, I should probably have a CDN which is close by to London because I'm getting more traffic from the London. And if we host some of the web pages nearby, we can actually serve our audience much faster. But the point is how you're going to make these decisions. Without monitoring, these decisions cannot be possible. You cannot just eyeball these decisions. You cannot take this decision just by gut feeling. And that is why tools like 24x7 are really crucial for any application which sees the daylight of the production. And I'm not saying this is the only tool. There are others as well. I just happen to like this one because it is free and I monitor a lot of my application with these free tools. So again, always remember proactive monitoring. Before you go how the application crashed, you should know why it crashed. That is the whole goal, and that can only be done by the pre-active monitoring. Now let's see that. Okay, deep dive into the application performance. So how we are going to see the APM. This APM is a very interesting concept in its altogether. Here, the APM stands for Application Performance Monitoring. Yeah, again, acronym, but again, we'll not worry about that. So before we actually take down that why the application crashed, the first point of the crashing might be the application itself. There is another way of we can monitor the infrastructure. We'll come on to that part. But usually the first culprit that we want to go for is APM insights. There are tools, again in the, we will show you in the demo part as well. We do have a whole APM based section. We will go into this one in a minute. But the first point of monitoring your application or analyzing your application is APM Insight, Application Performance Monitoring. There are applications or there might be some particular endpoint which might have the slow SQL query, or if you're using MongoDB, might be slow aggregation pipeline. This could be performed a little bit better, or at least you could analyze that, hey, can we do something better in it, or we just have to leave it like that? What is the method level bottleneck? Maybe your method is pretty long, and you want to do certain tasks in the background before sending the response or after sending the response. Or maybe there is a delay in some of the external services that you're calling. These days, a lot of applications are calling services like Google Gemini or OpenAI. So when you're calling these applications, what is the response time that your backend is getting? And then you are sending this response onto the front-end side. So this all is monitored by the APM. So if you go ahead and look under this, we have a lot of application, like we have a bookstore, we have a Z shopping, we have ticket booking, Java sample app, Python component call. A lot of big organizations have these kinds of application. And here we can see the error counts directly, that how many of the API endpoints actually thrown away the error. So we can see this RBM website is having 314, but the ticket booking system, our error count is 620. We definitely need to do something about it. If you go ahead and open up the ticket booking system, you will notice that, okay, this is whole thing. This might look a little bit overwhelming, but it is not. You can see all the transactions that are happening and movie/processing payment. This is really an important one. We want to pay a lot of attention, maybe cancel of the ticket. We really want to pay the attention on here. And you can see, okay, the average response time is this, the CPU response time is this, all of these things are here. Apart from this, we also have the database tracking as well, that how much time the database is taking to collect the data and sending all of this. So all of these are really crucial part. And again, this might sound overwhelming. This might look overwhelming at first, especially for beginners, but people who already work in industry, they really want to know all of this information, that what is happening, why the outage is happening, what's the reason behind the outage, all of this detail. Once your application crash, this is where you actually spend a lot of your time. You also do have your inventory report about what's going on, how this is all going on. And then we have this here as open telemetry. I hope you can see that. This is open telemetry. So services, metrics, and logs. I'll come back onto the logs. The OpenAI part, this is still on the way. They are working on it. But as of now, we can see services, metrics, and logs. I will come on to the logs as well. I will show you how this is all being done. But right now, this is our important part. So again, monitor. Your job is not just to create the application. Our job is also to make sure that our application is still up and running. Anyways, let's move on to this. Okay, so now that you know, APM insights are crucial for your application. If you want to put monitoring, the two important things which I always say is monitor your APM, and another one is monitor your infrastructure. If the reason for the collapse is not the application, then maybe for the collapse or for the slowness of your application is definitely infrastructure. And not only just the reason is collapsing, it might be the reason for your high infrastructure cost as well. So these days, a lot of people are on cloud and probably on multi-cloud infrastructure as well. So for them, this cloud and host level metrics and monitoring of them is absolutely crucial. And only a handful of people actually see this, that we have the cloud tab. If you see this, this is a cloud tab. And if you go at the top, we have single place monitoring of AWS, Azure, and GCP. We actually use just the AWS. We don't use others. So again, they are good cloud providers, but our infrastructure mostly is on AWS. So we prefer to use it. And we can see all of our details, how this is all going on, how much is our cloud spend, how much is our cloud cost, business units, all these things we have. We can see all of our accounts, how this is all going on. So a lot of details are here, but my point is make sure you monitor your cloud infrastructure, not only just cost, but your host as well. Each and individual host which is running in your cloud infrastructure, maybe EC2 machine or any other machine, should actually transmit some of the logs for you. And they do provide all these insights as well, that you can actually have the host level of the details. I don't know where this is right now. I have to dig up. Yep, this is where it is. So notice here, EC2 13 instances are running. So you can actually have this DynamoDB and you can click on this and see, okay, what each of my machine is doing, how much is the memory usage, how is the disk IO write and read and write speed and all of this. So this is another host level metrics you should worry about. Okay, one of the most important, if not the, but highest of the importance once the crash has happened is understanding the application logs. If you don't have a habit of understanding the logs, right now it's a good time to make a habit of creating at least basic level of log. Even if you're working in Node.js or whatever you're working, at least try to create some logs and store them in some files. This will give you an idea of how to collect, parse, and analyze these logs. People who see the logs for the very first time, they get scared of it. You should not. You should have seen so that you can actually go for searching for the errors, specific events that has crashed, because most of the time you will be hunting into this. And if you look at this, they have a whole section on the app logs. And as you can right now see, it has just all traces. I can just go with that. But what I want to show you is when you click on the add log type, what kind of log you want to monitor, they open up this whole detail. I want to collect the log from what? You just tell it, and they will collect the logs from Nginx, from MongoDB. They will connect from PHP if you are onto that. Zoom events. We recently saw some of the crashes in the Zoom actually. So this was super helpful to know that our application was not doing anything bad. Zoom was actually getting crashed. That's why our video was not there, and we found the video in the trash itself. Thank goodness we found a video, otherwise we had to re-record it. So we can see all these logs, and we were able to know all of this just the reason the logs were implemented already. So that's why I say having the log is pretty important, and make sure you configure them as much as possible, whatever the budget allows or whatever the application allows. All right. The last part is a smart thresholds and alerts. Then this one is actually the summary part of it. Okay, once you have placed that we have the smart threshold, like just say, a lot of people believe that, okay, if our CPU is 80%, we will put up an alert. This is not how it works. If your CPU is on 80% resource usage and it is staying there for 5 minutes, 10 minutes or 15 minutes, then it is a problem. Once a spike on 80% is never a problem. But if it is staying there on that level, that means something extreme processing is going on, probably spike of the traffic or heavy traffic. If the memory usage is 90%, just go for the specific error counts in the logs or see the reason why is it happening. Is it once of the thing or we are getting more traffic? And not only that, once we are done with this, make sure if you go into the admin, I guess not in the admin, in the report. Let me just quickly find that. Here we have the ways so that we can actually mark the alerts. Found it. It is still in the admin. And if you just look at this, user and alert management, this is where you can actually alert the user whole group. You can schedule your on-calls, your alarm categories. All you have to do is just click on add user, and this will add a new user. You can shoot up emails. They have the ways to configure different mechanism. Every company puts different mechanisms. Some even use dedicated apps are there in the App Store and iOS. Let me show you some of them. couldn't find the one that we actually use. So there are a lot of apps that are available in the market. Depends on whether you want to use the app ecosystem or just want to go with that. So anyways, the whole point is there should be a proper alert mechanism so that people on the Twitter don't actually inform you about the outage. You actually know about the outage in advance. That is the main goal. And make sure you follow this up. Getting to know about your outage from the Twitter or from mails or from calls is not a good idea. You should know about them in advance. That is always a good idea. Anyways, so let's actually summarize what we have studied so far. I hope this was quite a packed session that you enjoyed about knowing about the crashes, and so that you can also help your application to recover or stop the crashes before they happen. So summary number one, your server will crash. There is no exception for that. If the softwares from companies like Microsoft, Amazon, Google, big tech giants do crash, we are nobody in front of it. They have like thousands and hundreds of thousands of engineers, still their application do crash, so we are nobody. The only thing we can do is monitor it. So everybody does that. Software will crash. We just can monitor. Make sure you're monitoring the application performance. This is the number one key. Without the application performance monitoring, you cannot increase the performance. Without measuring, there is no increment. Also, a lot of people forget sometimes about it. Monitor the infra performance as well. Just because it is AWS, just because it is Azure or GCP, doesn't mean it's always going to perform the way you want it to be. Sometimes maybe Linode is better for your use case, or maybe DigitalOcean is better for your use case, or any other infrastructure provider. So make sure if you're going to monitor, then only you will get to know that which one is better for me. Next one is logs are like CPR support in critical situation. If you don't have logs, you have no idea what to do. You'll just restart your server. Probably after a few minutes or few hours or few days, it will crash again. You don't know the root cause reason of why it crashed because you never looked into the logs. Having the logs is the crucial part. Then set up a good alert system. Without a good alert system, your team cannot react in the time when they should be reacting. They are just, again, reacting is not a good idea, but again, you have to react when the things are down. So make sure you have a proper alerting and monitoring system. Without this, nothing is going to work. So I hope you got the idea about how the monitoring and all these things work. I highly recommend that if you are new or you are a budding software engineer or you are just setting up your company, the link is in the description section. Use this to set up a monitoring system. 5 of the monitoring systems are absolutely free. Start with that. No worries about getting into the paid plan or anything. At least monitor 2 things. You will learn some things about monitoring, and that is always a good idea. That is it for this video. Let's catch up in the next one.